You have to be able to still operate even when things are funky, you know? And a lot of people can't. A lot of people, they're literally one hangnail away from calling it quits. I got a hangnail. I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
This is Secrets for Success.
Welcome to the Secrets for Success podcast. I'm your host, Greg Todd. Thank you, as always, for joining me. We're going to do a walkie-talkie today. That's actually what me and a buddy of mine, Kyle Rice, call our walks that we used to do on the beach. We call them walkie-talkies. And that's what I want to do with you guys today. I actually just finished my Platinum Mastermind call. It's a call I do with all of my clients, physical therapists, occupational therapists, speech therapists, chiropractors that are in my higher level programs. I talk to them twice a month. And today we talked about, there was actually, here, I'll say this. There was a client that asked two questions, and I just think they were so powerful that I actually want to share my answers with you guys. So basically, this client is a dietitian serving athletes, and is feeling this pull, right? That he's not just a dietitian, but he has other things that mean a lot to him. That he wants to know, is it okay to share those things online, and how much of his content that he's sharing should be about that, his faith, bringing people to Christ, versus him being a dietitian and nutrition and macros and all those things for athletes. And so I want to share with you guys what I told him. I said to him, look, for me, there's a personal side to this and there's a business side to this, okay? So let's talk about the business first, right? I understand that the most important component of truly building a business is to get eyeballs on me, okay? Like, if I can get eyeballs on me, then I have a shot. By the way, it's not saying that everything is going to work out, but if I have eyeballs, at least I have the ability for people to know that, hey, I exist, and I solve a problem that maybe you need solved, right? Okay, cool. Okay, that's extremely, extremely important to have. And I told him that, look, there are certain people that are going to want to nerd out about macros and about counting calories and, bulking up or leaning down. Like, okay, great. But there's other components to you, right? And I know that there are people that are listening to this podcast right now that you didn't come into my world because of my business acumen. You actually came into my world because maybe I mentioned something about my faith, or maybe I mentioned something about my kids, or maybe I mentioned something about the Miami Dolphins. Oh, God. Okay, or maybe I mentioned something about something that had nothing to do with how I serve people in the business world. And that's the thing that brought you in. So I told him, from a business standpoint, it's actually a good idea that you guys know, like, what makes you you. If there was a reality show based on you in a typical day, what would you be doing? Like, do you just do business from the beginning of the day to the end of the day? Probably not. Maybe you work out. Cool. Fitness. Maybe you eat good. Okay, good. Your nutrition in your body. Maybe you pray. Okay. Your spiritual walk. Okay. Maybe you talk to your parents if they're still alive, or you talk to a sibling, or you talk to, your son or your daughter, family. Okay. You see what I mean? There's so many different components of you, and what you want to do is what is naturally a part of who you are. You want to integrate that in whatever way you feel comfortable into your life, because people can get something from it. Maybe they can learn from your mistakes. Maybe they can learn from the things that you do right. Either way, that's part of your brand. That's part of your brand, and that could draw people in. Okay, so that's one part of it. But then there's the personal part. And what I shared with him is that for me, the reason why I share, besides the business aspect, is mostly personal. I have used this podcast over the last, I would say last month and a half. I mean, you guys have probably noticed it, right? I've used it for therapy. I've used it to process through certain things that I'm going through right now. Big life events, big decisions, pain, and just a trying time that I know eventually will be for good. But right now, currently a very trying time. And I've used some episodes without saying everything. I've used some episodes as therapy for myself to share with my audience. And it's not that, like, I don't even know who's listening to this. Like, I mean, I don't know. But my therapist has said, like, hey, write things down. I don't know. For me, sharing it in this way is actually more powerful. And I've just decided that, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this because I'm not trying to prove anything to you guys, but it really is therapeutic for me. So I said on a personal level, for me, it's therapeutic. Now, for some people, they panic the minute they get in front of the camera. But for me, it's like, I feel like I can get my thoughts out better here than I can just writing it on a piece of paper. I've just decided to take it a step further and just like say, hey, if you want to listen in, you know? So, but yeah, it's kind of what I told him. So I said, you do it. There's a business part of it. And I think it's very beneficial to have your content be what your typical day is, because that's natural stuff that you can talk about. And I feel like that brings out your most authentic self. I mean, if you're talking about your family, I mean, it's not contrived. You know what I mean? It's like, this is my family. I tell you what I do with my kids. This is how I screw up. This is how I think I've done it right. You know, this is how I do with, you know, whatever. So, you know, I just feel like that's the natural things for you to be able to talk about. And I know that some people, that's what they want to hear about. I know there are people that back when I was a physical therapist and I was a treating physical therapist, they followed me because of my running exploits, because that's what I did. I was a runner. And then later on, they enjoyed my journey of what I was doing, my blog with running. And then when I got sick and I couldn't run anymore, and then if they had a problem, they knew that I was a physical therapist. So my blog talked about running primarily, but it also talked about I'm a physical therapist, because my day, like, involved running, it involved physical therapy, it involved being with my family, it involved being with my kids, it involved, watching sports. That's what my day was. So yeah, you might have started following me because of the Dolphins, but then you actually needed something, right? Your ankle got sprained or whatnot, and you felt like, hey, I connected with that guy, so I'm going to work with that guy. Does that make sense? Anyways, I hope that helps. I hope that serves you guys. So that was one of the things that we talked about on today's call. And then the second thing was, he's going through some stuff right now. He's had some things going, and he's like, I just feel like it's so trying. And I shared with him, look, man, I was like, I get it. I understand. I was like, but I'm going through some trying times right now too. But the reality is this, y'all. If I didn't tell y'all I was going through some trying times, would you know any different? I mean, would you really? I'm still showing up. I'm still doing my podcast. The month of September was, I think, our best month that we've had for the entire year. I told him this. I said, look, man, successful entrepreneurs are able to operate and manage their emotions through massive chaos. I was like, every single time you guys are going through an obstacle, you're going through something really tough, can you do that? Like, do you realize that you're being built to be able to handle chaotic situations and still function? You know that most people can't. Like, they can't do it. I'm getting my mail here, right? Most people can't do it. They cannot. The minute something happens, they totally falter. They're like, oh, that's the reason why. If that never happened, everything would have been good. But no, that happened. No. If you're an entrepreneur, man, you're a good one. You got to be able to operate in chaotic situations. You got to be able to manage your emotions. You have to be able to still operate even when things are funky, And a lot of people can't. A lot of people, they're literally one hangnail away from calling it quits. I got a hangnail. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. Every single obstacle that you guys are going through, every single thing is building you up so that you can be a better entrepreneur, so that you can be just a more functioning human being. Because the reality is that we know obstacles are never going to go away. The question is do you fold the minute the obstacle is there? Like, is that what happens to you? For most people, that is the truth. They fold. They just fold. Okay. If it gets too hot, I'm out. I was also sharing this on the call today that, like, to be a part of the top 5% in your industry, like, If you just obsess over something, I'm not talking about for 10 years. If you do it for 10 years, you're probably going to be in the top like 1%. But if you do it for 1 year, you'll be in the top 5%. What's that? But most people, you want to know why they can't do anything for a year? Is because they can't manage their emotions. They can't manage chaos. They just can't. They can't do it. So it's just really, really tricky for them, you know? It's truly tricky. So anyways, that's what I shared on my call today. That was one of many questions, but that's what we do inside the Platinum Mastermind. That's what I do in between people flying in from different parts of the country to work with me and my team at my homes. You know, so that's what we do with people, and it's awesome and it's great. And honestly, sometimes the work is just a really needed distraction from some of the chaos and things that I'm dealing with. And I realized that, you know, I even asked them today, I was like, was it a good call? They're like, yeah, it was a great call. You know, it's like, yeah, just understand that I did this call with massive chaos. So that's just the way it is, guys. That's the way life is. So anyways, I was just saying that to you guys. I'm rooting for every single one of you. I hope you're rooting for me as well. I love you guys. And I'll see you on the next episode. Until next time.